Have you ever walked into a room and forgotten why you went there in the first place? Or maybe you found yourself pausing in the middle of a story, trying to remember a simple word you've used 1,000 times before. If you've experienced moments like that, you're not alone. As we get older, little slips of memory become more common, and it can be frustrating. But here's the good news: while some changes in the brain are natural with age, there are habits, very common ones, that can speed up decline. The even better news? You can stop them, and by doing so, you give your brain a fighting chance to stay sharp and strong well into your 70s, 80s, and beyond. Think about it this way. Your brain is like a garden. If you neglect it, weeds start to grow, the soil dries out, and the plants lose their vitality. But if you nurture it, give it water, sunlight, and care, it flourishes. The same goes for your mind. At 70, your brain still has remarkable potential. But it depends on what you do, and maybe more importantly, what you stop doing. So let's have a conversation today about 5 habits that quietly damage the brain as we get older. They may seem harmless, even normal, but if we keep them up, they chip away at our memory, focus, and clarity. By letting go of them, we create room for our brain to thrive again. And I promise you, it's never too late to make changes that protect your most valuable asset, your mind. Let's start with one of the sneakiest culprits: sitting too much. You might not think of your armchair as a threat to your brain, but the truth is, being sedentary can slowly dim mental sharpness. When we sit for hours on end, blood flow to the brain decreases. That means fewer nutrients and less oxygen reaching the very organ we rely on for memory, decision-making, and creativity. It's like expecting a car engine to run smoothly without enough oil. It simply can't function at its best. I once spoke with a man in his late 70s who told me he felt like his mind had slowed down. When I asked him about his daily routine, he admitted he spent most of the day in front of the television. Not because he loved the shows, but because it was easy. After years of this, he noticed not just stiffness in his legs, but also a fogginess in his thinking. The wonderful part? When he started walking just 15 minutes twice a day, he felt different within a few weeks. His body loosened up, and his mind became clearer. He described it as wiping the dust off an old bookshelf. That's the power of movement. It cleans and refreshes your brain. You don't need to run marathons or lift heavy weights to protect your memory. Simple activities like walking around the block, stretching, gardening, or even dancing in your living room count. The point is to get your blood flowing and give your brain the oxygen it craves. Each step you take is like turning the lights back on in your mind. Now, let's talk about another habit that may sound harmless but actually does serious damage: skimping on sleep. Somewhere along the way, many people over 70 fall into the trap of thinking that poor sleep is just part of getting older. Maybe you've even said it yourself: I don't need much sleep anymore. But here's the reality: your brain desperately needs that rest, even more than when you were younger. When you sleep, your brain goes into repair mode. It's during those hours that it clears away toxins and processes the information you've taken in during the day. Without good sleep, those toxins build up, and your memory, focus, and mood all take a hit. Scientists even believe that lack of sleep is linked to a higher risk of Alzheimer's and other forms of dementia. Imagine your brain as a busy office. Each day it fills with papers, sticky notes, and clutter. Sleep is the overnight cleaning crew that puts everything in order. Without them, the mess just piles up until no one can find anything. If you've been in the habit of cutting your nights short, maybe staying up too late watching TV or scrolling on your phone in bed, it's worth rethinking. Aiming for 7 to 8 hours of quality sleep isn't a luxury, it's a necessity for your brain health. Try creating a calming bedtime routine. Maybe that means turning off the TV a little earlier, dimming the lights, sipping some herbal tea, or listening to soothing music. Small rituals signal to your brain that it's time to rest. And here's something important: don't ignore sleep problems just because you think they're normal at your age. If you're struggling with insomnia or waking up repeatedly through the night, it may be worth talking to your doctor. Sleep isn't optional, and protecting it is one of the most powerful gifts you can give your brain. There's another habit I want to bring up, one that often goes unnoticed because it doesn't feel like a habit at all. It's social isolation. Many people, after retirement or after losing loved ones, slowly begin spending more and more time alone. While solitude and moderation can be peaceful, prolonged isolation is one of the biggest risks for cognitive decline. Your brain thrives on connection. Conversations, laughter, even light debates, they all stimulate your mind in ways that reading or watching TV cannot. Think about the last time you had a really engaging chat with a friend. Maybe you laughed until your stomach hurt, or you shared a story that brought back old memories. Moments like that light up your brain, strengthening pathways that keep memory sharp. When those interactions are missing, the brain loses valuable exercise. I know reaching out isn't always easy. Some people feel they don't want to bother others, or they worry about being a burden. But the truth is, connecting with others isn't just good for you, it's good for them too. A phone call, a shared meal, or even joining a local group or class can do wonders. I've seen people in their 80s who, after joining a simple community activity like a book club or a walking group, suddenly felt more alive, more present, and more hopeful. It wasn't the activity itself, it was the people. So if you've slipped into the habit of spending most days in silence, remind yourself that your brain needs company just as much as your heart does. Staying socially connected is one of the strongest shields against memory loss. Watching and feel that these insights are meaningful. Please type number 2 in the comments to let me know you're still with me. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I warmly invite you to do so, and don't forget to turn on the bell, so you won't miss any of our upcoming videos designed to uplift, inform, and inspire. Your support truly means a lot. It's what keeps us going and allows us to continue sharing thoughtful, helpful content just for you. Now, let's continue this journey together. Earlier we talked about how sitting too much, skimping on sleep, and isolating yourself from others can quietly chip away at your brain's sharpness. These are habits that sneak in and feel ordinary, but they slowly dull your memory and focus. Now let's continue with a few more habits that many people over 70 fall into without realizing how damaging they can be. One of the most common ones is poor eating patterns. I'm not just talking about having an extra cookie here and there or treating yourself to dessert once in a while. I mean a daily routine of foods that don't give your brain what it needs to stay strong. Think about processed snacks, sugary drinks, fried foods, or meals heavy with salt and unhealthy fats. They might taste comforting, but over time they clog your arteries, raise blood sugar, and starve your brain of the steady fuel it relies on. You see, your brain is the hungriest organ in your body. Even though it only makes up about 2% of your weight, it uses about 20% of your energy. When you fill your body with junk, your brain suffers first. Research shows that diets high in sugar and processed foods are linked to faster memory decline and a higher risk of dementia. It's like putting cheap gasoline into a luxury car. It sputters, struggles, and breaks down sooner. I once heard a woman in her 70s describe how she had been eating frozen dinners and takeout almost every day after her husband passed away. Cooking for one felt like too much trouble. She noticed she felt sluggish, forgetful, and even depressed. Her doctor encouraged her to make one small change, add a colorful salad or a bowl of steamed vegetables to at least one meal a day. She did it, and within a month, she said she felt lighter, not just in her body, but in her mind. That's how quickly your brain responds when you give it better fuel. Now, this doesn't mean you have to give up every treat or suddenly transform into a gourmet chef. It's about balance and small steps. Maybe swap white bread for whole grain, choose water over soda, add berries to your breakfast, or sprinkle nuts on your salad. Even simple switches add up. Every time you choose foods rich in antioxidants, omega-3s, and vitamins, you're feeding your brain what it needs to stay sharp. Alongside food, another habit that often creeps in after 70 is neglecting mental exercise. We spend so much time worrying about keeping our bodies active, walking, stretching, staying mobile, that we forget our brain is a muscle too. And just like any muscle, it weakens if we stop challenging it. It's easy to slip into routines that don't ask much of your brain. Maybe you watch the same shows, read the same newspaper every morning, or solve the same kind of crossword puzzle day after day. There's nothing wrong with comfort, but your brain needs variety and novelty to grow. Without it, pathways in the brain start to shut down and learning slows. I met a gentleman who retired at 72. He told me that at first, he loved the freedom of having no schedule. But soon, days blended together, and he found himself feeling dull. His daughter encouraged him to take up painting, something he had never tried before. At first, he laughed it off, "I can barely draw a stick figure." But when he finally gave it a shot, something surprising happened. He found himself focused, curious, even excited again. Each brushstroke was like a workout for his brain. Within months, he felt sharper and more engaged, not just when painting but in everyday conversations and decisions too. That's the beauty of challenging your mind. It doesn't matter if it's painting, learning a language, trying new recipes, or picking up a musical instrument. Even reading books outside your usual genre or learning to use new technology can spark fresh connections in your brain. The point is to keep stretching yourself, even in small ways. The more you give your brain to chew on, the stronger it becomes. And here's the last habit I want to mention today: ignoring stress. You might be surprised to hear that stress, something that feels more emotional than physical, has one of the strongest impacts on your brain. Chronic stress floods your body with hormones like cortisol, and over time, it damages the very areas of the brain responsible for memory and learning. Have you ever noticed how much harder it is to concentrate when you're worried or anxious? That's not your imagination. Stress actually shrinks the hippocampus, the part of your brain tied to memory. At 70 and beyond, many people think stress should be behind them. After all, the children are grown, the career is done. But new stressors appear. Concerns about health, finances, or loneliness can weigh heavily. If you brush them aside and keep pushing forward without relief, your brain pays the price. The good news is, it doesn't take a grand solution to reduce stress. Sometimes it's as simple as breathing deeply for a few minutes, taking a walk in nature, or practicing gratitude. I know a woman in her 80s who begins every morning by writing down 3 things she's thankful for. She says it shifts her focus away from worry and toward what's still good in her life. That tiny ritual has become her anchor, keeping her mind calm and clear. Meditation, prayer, gentle yoga, listening to music, or spending time with loved ones, these are not luxuries. They're medicine for your brain. The more you make space for peace and joy, the more resilient your mind becomes against decline. So if you've been carrying stress like a heavy backpack, it may be time to set it down. Give your brain the chance to heal, to breathe, and to recharge. Now that we've talked about sitting too much, skimping on sleep, isolating yourself, poor eating habits, and letting stress run unchecked, it's time to wrap it all together and talk about how these changes can truly transform your brain health. The habits we've discussed might seem small on their own, but when you put them together, they create a powerful shield for your mind. It's important to remember that none of this is about perfection. None of us are going to live flawless lives, and you shouldn't feel guilty for the habits you've developed over the years. What matters is making conscious choices now, at 70 or beyond, that give your brain a chance to flourish. Every small change counts. Even swapping out one snack, taking a short walk, or calling a friend can send a strong message to your brain: I value you. I want you to stay sharp. Think about the people you know who seem lively, engaged, and mentally sharp well into their 70s or 80s. Chances are, they didn't achieve it by accident. They made choices that protect their brain every day, even if those choices were simple. And here's the beauty of it: you can do the same. You have the power to slow decline, sharpen memory, and feel more alert just by adjusting a few daily habits. For instance, take movement. It's easy to underestimate how much simply standing up, stretching, or walking for a few minutes can help. Those moments add up, improving blood flow to your brain, boosting oxygen delivery, and even helping release mood-enhancing chemicals. Your body and mind are connected in ways we're still learning about, but one thing is clear: an active body supports an active mind. Even gentle activity, dancing in your living room, gardening, or taking a short stroll after meals can make a difference. Sleep is another game changer. It's when your brain cleans house, sorts memories, and resets for the next day. Protecting your sleep means protecting your memory, focus, and emotional resilience. And remember, creating a calming nighttime routine is not a luxury, it's an investment in your brain. Something as simple as dimming the lights, turning off screens, and taking a few deep breaths before bed can help you drift into restorative sleep, night after night. Social connection is equally powerful. Engaging with others isn't just about fun or companionship, although those are wonderful benefits. It's a direct workout for your brain. Conversations, storytelling, and laughter stimulate neural pathways in ways that reading or watching TV alone cannot. So if you've been spending a lot of time alone, challenge yourself to reach out to friends, family, or neighbors. Even a quick phone call or a shared cup of tea can invigorate your mind. Then there's diet. Feeding your brain with the right nutrients doesn't require a complete overhaul of your life. You don't need to cook elaborate meals every day. Simple swaps, like choosing whole grains instead of refined ones, adding berries or leafy greens, sprinkling nuts, or enjoying a piece of fatty fish, provide the building blocks your brain needs to function at its best. Over time, these choices can improve clarity, memory, and overall cognitive resilience. Finally, stress management ties it all together. Chronic stress is one of the sneakiest threats to brain health, quietly damaging memory centers and making it harder to think clearly. But by creating moments of calm, through meditation, gentle breathing, journaling, or connecting with loved ones, you give your brain space to heal and recharge. Even a few minutes a day of intentional calm can make a big difference over weeks and months. When you look at all of these habits together, a picture emerges, a life where your brain is nurtured, not neglected. You may have spent years unknowingly practicing habits that harm your mind, but it's never too late to change direction. By stopping these 5 common habits, you open the door to clearer thinking, better memory, and a sharper, more resilient mind. And here's something truly uplifting. Making these changes doesn't just protect your brain, it improves your life in every way. Moving more can make you feel physically stronger and more energetic. Sleeping better gives you emotional stability and joy in everyday moments. Connecting with others brings laughter, shared memories, and a sense of belonging. Eating well supports your body, your mood, and your mind. Reducing stress makes you calmer, happier, and more focused. All of these benefits ripple through your life, creating a sense of vitality that goes far beyond memory alone. I want you to take a moment and imagine what life could feel like if you started making even one small change today. Perhaps it's taking a short walk after lunch, or calling an old friend, or choosing a colorful, brain-friendly meal. These steps may seem minor, but they are the first brushstrokes of a bigger picture, a picture where your mind remains vibrant, engaged, and alive well into your 70s, 80s, and beyond. You have more control over your brain health than you might think. The habits you choose, or choose to stop, send clear messages to your mind about what you value and how you want to live. And every positive choice reinforces itself. Movement encourages better sleep. Better sleep improves focus and mood. Social connection strengthens mental pathways. Nutritious food fuels your body and brain. And managing stress creates clarity and resilience. Each of these habits supports the others, creating a virtuous cycle that can dramatically improve your quality of life. So, as you move forward, remember this: it's not about being perfect, it's about being intentional. Every small adjustment matters. Each step you take to nurture your brain is a step toward living a life full of clarity, confidence, and joy. You don't have to wait for tomorrow or next week to start. Today is always the best day to begin protecting your most precious asset, your mind. I'd love to hear from you. Which of these habits do you recognize in yourself? Which one do you feel ready to change first? Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments. Your story might inspire someone else to make a positive change too. And if you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more guidance on living a vibrant, independent life. Here's to a brighter, sharper mind and living your best life at any age. Because the truth is, no matter how many birthdays you've celebrated, your brain still has incredible potential, and it's never too late to protect it, nurture it, and enjoy the richness of life with clarity and confidence.